The City Council for the City of Rollingwood will come to order Wednesday, June 17th for a regular City Council meeting at 7:14. And we will begin with roll call. Ms. Brown.
Brown,
Kevin Shaw.
Kevin Glassy.
Phil McDuffie.
Sarah Hudson.
Gavin Massengill, being a quorum present. We will move on to public comment. I will first say apologies. We are having some technical difficulties with our online viewing and remote access. However, I will say we do believe that the YouTube streaming channel is working correctly. So if you know of anyone, if they want to switch over to YouTube, they should be able to. They won't be able to have quite the interaction that they have on the Zoom, but we are working on it and we'll continue to, but we're not sure what's wrong with it. So. Okay, with that, we will move on to public comment. Anyone wishing to make public comment on items not on the agenda? Nope. Okay. With that, hearing none, and I see no hands raised. With that, we will move off of public comment and move on to presentations. Agenda item number 2, report on the status of the Zilker Clubhouse remodel and City of Austin security measures in connection with Arnolfo Alonso Way. I always struggle with that, and I always will. This is Brooke Brown. I believe this is Brooke's agenda item. Is that right, Brooke?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
One moment.
I will get us kicked off because the first part is easy. I will turn it over to Alan to give us. We have been in communication with the City of Austin related to the Zilker Clubhouse remodel, and so I'll start there, and then do you have all of it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Perfect. I will recognize Chief to give us the full report.
So we have been in contact with the City of Austin. The City of Austin is continuing to provide security periodically throughout the day. Obviously, don't want to give too much information on their security measures as it is a public meeting, but they will be starting construction at the first or second week of July, which will also enhance some of their security measures out there that they will be addressing as well. So that construction is supposed to happen for a year, 2 years. During that time, they will have access to Arnolfo Alonso, obviously for construction vehicles and whatnot, but then we will lock that street back down once the day is ended. Other than that,
well, I think I do have the one thing to add. I know the chief and I were discussing. We have been pushing Austin hard to make sure they are patrolling it correctly. As the construction is underway, they're going to be enhancing their security measures. So some of our residents like to go walking around out there. I'd recommend they don't because we've encouraged Austin to ramp up the police presence. They're not going to want people walking through the construction site. They're not going to tell good people from bad. Everybody should stay away when the construction fences are up.
yeah, correct. And that's directly to the clubhouse property. The lookout or overlook is still open for the public, but like I said, it's just for the actual property of the clubhouse.
Well, that leads me to a question. When I read through, it said they're going to be renovating the lookout as well, if I'm not mistaken. So is that going to be done after the clubhouse, and will that have
I believe so. I believe that's
going
going to be a totally separate project. 'Cause
Okay.
Like I said, what he's focusing right now is just the actual renovation of the clubhouse.
Okay.
And obviously stay in touch with us. We do patrol that area, and we do know who to call at City of Austin if we need to get in touch with anybody. But always feel free to reach out to Chief to get updates on that as we go.
Correct.
All right,
Well,
any
and
other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I did ask staff if they could do a presentation on this item because it seemed important to me to hear to have the community updated on what's going to be going on at that facility, and that the Parks Department has sought increased security for that area as well. So
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you.
Yeah.
And I have a note that Zoom is working now.
Oh, it isn't working. Okay. Great job. I don't know what we did, but I'm glad we did it. And I will also say, just for the record, this construction project is obviously the reason that we were not able to reserve the Zilker Clubhouse this year for 4th of July. So if you hear any complaints about that, we tried, but this project is why they said no. So
Sparklers in the backyard.
Yep.
That's-
Yep.
No.
No.
True, yes, in the street.
Sparklers turn into fireworks,
Yeah.
they turn into.
Yeah. Good catch, Chief. Okay, with that, we will move off of agenda item number 2 on to agenda item number 3. Presentation and discussion of the police department's community safety campaign prepared by citizens related to law enforcement and resident awareness. I will turn it over. This is my agenda item. We have been working with some area residents and really appreciative of them, and we'll hopefully hear from them momentarily. But I want to let Chief kind of lay out for you what we kind of have in the works at their suggestion, and working with myself and Chief and our staff to come up with kind of a community awareness program.
Right, and so we, in collaboration with residents, what we're trying to introduce is gonna be the 9 PM campaign, which basically is a reminder to all residents to make sure your doors are locked, your vehicles are locked, your, everything is secure outside. Because what we've talked about in the past is that a lot of our thefts have been crimes of opportunity, and so what we're trying to do is set out that reminder to take away that opportunity. So what we've done is, like I said, in collaboration with residents, as a team, it's gonna be literature, it's gonna be video, it's gonna be, like I said, just some social media reminders, and things like that to kind of help get everybody onto the mindset of every night. I don't know if you remember back then where it's like it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are? We're kind of basing off of that. It's 9 p.m. Are your doors locked, or your valuables removed, that type of thing. But I will turn it over to Jeff Marks too, who's going to kind of spearhead the
Great.
residential side of it.
Great. Thanks, Chief. Come on up, Jeff. Identify yourself, please.
Hi everyone, Jeff Marks, 2516 Timberline Drive. Good evening, Mayor, members of Council, Chief Munoz. I'm a Rollingwood resident speaking tonight on behalf of the RWGC security team. I want to begin by introducing who we are. So the security team is a group of volunteer residents who came together earlier this year with a single purpose: to support our police department and the city council in keeping Rollingwood safe and secure. We're not a political group, and we're not here in reaction to any single incident. Our focus is the long-term public safety of the community. So you know a lot of the members, which include Casey Hoffman, Craig Cummings, Christopher Bray, Angus Littlejohn, Clint Sever, and myself. So I also want to thank Chief Munoz directly. She had met with our team twice and welcomed our offers of support, and we're grateful for her openness and partnership. We'll look forward to continuing to support her and her officers in the months ahead with our research, our data gathering, and common sense approach to the safety concerns our neighbors have shared with us. One important note before going further: everything we bring to you, including what I'll present, is prepared for the mayor and council to consider. None of it has been formally adopted or blessed by any city office. We see our role as community liaisons, doing legwork, and then handing you well-researched options. So that brings me to the first initiative I'd like to share. As Chief Munoz mentioned, the Rollingwood 9 p.m. routine, which is, as she mentioned, community awareness, grounded in the simple fact that Chief Munoz shared with us that in 2025, 100% of the vehicles stolen in Rollingwood were unlocked. Residential crime here is overwhelmingly a crime of opportunity, so suspects walking up to vehicles and finding them open. So the 9 p.m. routine addresses that head on. The idea is a nightly habit, prompted at 9 p.m., lock your car, bring your key fob inside, close the garage, turn on your exterior lights, and remove valuables from your vehicle. It's a model that has worked in other communities, and it costs the city next to nothing to begin promoting it. So what we're asking tonight is simply for council's awareness and support as we work alongside the police department to roll this out. We believe that coordinated awareness effort can meaningfully reduce these preventable crimes and taking pressure off of our officers and making Rollingwood a less attractive target. Thank you for your time.
Thank you
Thanks.
for your work.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate it. I see Casey online. Yeah, I really do appreciate not only the idea that your group brought forward, but the way in which you did it, the way in which you're approaching it, collaborative, not not showing up with complaints without solutions. So really do appreciate the way in which you all brought it forward, and we've taken and they also did their own legwork and their own report that they gave to us. Chief has that. We've already got some rollout things ready to go for next week that I think she'll visit with you about. But the concept here will be, it's very straightforward as they've presented it. You know, Mackenzie does a great job for us on social media and communications in the police department. She's going to kind of help spearhead some of this communications aspect of it. The department will come up with kind of weekly PSAs and that sort of thing, and we'll post them on our publicly available platforms. And then I think the plan will be to kind of hand it off to the residents to continue to sort of push that echo chamber and make sure that that's being circulated among the community and on the WhatsApp and that sort of thing. So it'll be kind of a two-phase process that you'll probably see out and about and hopefully hear good things about. So again, thank you all for working with us and on the other items that we'll talk about later in the evening. So
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we will move off of agenda item number 3 and on to the consent agenda. Happy to take a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would move approval of the consent agenda except for the May 13 minutes.
Okay, we will remove agenda item number 4. You have a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda, which is agenda item number 5. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion by Ms. Brown, a second by Ms. Hudson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries. And with that, we are back on agenda item number 4. Agenda item number 4, discussion and possible action on the minutes from the May 13th, 2026 City Council meeting. Recognize Ms. Brown.
Mr. Mayor, I would propose an edit on page 3 of the minutes to the paragraph just above paragraph 9 that starts off with Councilmember Brooke Brown. And I would amend it to read, Councilmember Brooke Brown moved to approve the insert 8, EIGHT. Recommended next steps outlined in the Lochner memo at page 7-8. And that way we'll be able to find exactly what we were talking about if we ever need to in the future.
Okay. You heard the changes. Let's make a motion. You have a motion. Is that a motion to make those changes as stated?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have a motion by, I like your honor, that's nice. You have
I did that once in Las Vegas.
old habits die
Commission,
hard.
Public Utility Commission.
Oh, you
They
did?
said, Ms. Brown, we're not that honorable.
That's kind of what I was thinking. You have a motion by Ms. Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion by Ms. Brown, a second by Mr. McDuffie. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries. And now I'll take a motion to adopt the amended minutes for May 13th, 2026.
I move to adopt the amended minutes for May 13, 2026.
You have a motion to adopt the amended minutes for May 13th, 2026 by Ms. Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion by Ms. Brown, a second by Ms. Hudson. Further discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Thank you, council. Okay, with that, we will move off of the consent agenda. And before we get to the regular agenda, I would like to go a little bit off the order, if you would bear with me, council. I'm pulling up agenda item number 20, discussion and possible action on a recommendation by the mayor to employ a city secretary. Now, before I open this up, council, we will come back to this. I'm not asking for you to take actual action at this time, but Ashley Lobb was nice enough to be with us this evening, and instead of making her wait until 1 o'clock this evening, I wanted to give you an opportunity to say hello, and for her to say hello to you. Ashley will be my recommendation to you this evening. We will have a discussion about this in executive session, and then we will come back into regular session at the end of the evening to take official action on it. But Ashley was nice enough to be here with us, and I wanted to say hello to her and let her say hello to you, and have just a very brief visit if you so desire, and then we'll move back to the regular agenda. So,
Thank you, Mayor, and hello, Council. My name is Ashley Lobb. Just a quick background on me, kind of how I got here. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and during that time, I started volunteering on nonprofits, Shop with a Cop and Crime Stoppers, and it was then I kind of got that administrative bug. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go get my master's degree. So I went and got my master's degree in public administration. Once I got that, I started a job at the Office of the Attorney General here in Texas and worked my way up to a records coordinator. And from there, I was like, I really miss that local government. So I switched from state to a local city, where I have been a deputy city secretary for going on almost 5 years. Started in September 2021. And I'm ready to do the next step. And I'm excited to be here in front of you guys today.
thank you, Ashley. Thanks so much for being here. Have enjoyed getting to visit with you via Zoom, and finally, nice to put an in-person face with the name. So, Council, do you have any questions or thoughts or anything for Ashley? And if not, that's fine as well. We did not tell her that we were going to put her at the mic, so she will not be offended, I suspect, if you don't engage in a series of questions.
I just want to know about how she enjoyed Grand Canyon University.
I enjoyed it very much. It was a good,
One of my favorite
it's gorgeous.
places.
Yes.
I can imagine.
Good? All right. Ashley, thanks for
Thank you,
being
guys.
here. Yeah, absolutely. We'll look forward to visiting more about you later on, and you'll probably be asleep when that happens. So,
Sounds good. Thank you guys for the opportunity.
all right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, Council, we are back on the regular agenda. Agenda item number 6, discussion and possible action regarding an appointment to fill a vacancy on the Rollingwood Community Development Corporation Board. Recognize Alan to lay this agenda out, as it is a staff agenda item.
So, Mayor and Council, as you recall, Barry Del Cambry fairly recently resigned from the RCDC board after he moved out of the city, leaving one vacancy. As is customary, we keep applications to the board on file for 2 years in accordance with the retention period. There are 3 different people whose applications made or within 2 years. And we did reach out. One of them is quite new. Brad Walter applied this week or last. Jeff Marks, and then Mohit Goyal. I'm sorry, I don't have fully to pronounce that. Goyal, sorry. We've reached out to them. They both confirmed that they are interested in serving and having their application considered. So the 3 applications are in there. There was a note that Nikki sent out earlier. Mr. Walter accidentally checked a box saying he was a felon and he's trying to resolve it. He assures us he is not a felon and would like that entered into the record and not reflect poorly on his application. So staff, we don't have a position on it. I do know that the RCDC was the president of RCDC, Mr. Ryder. He was quite interested in having the vacancy filled, and the board encourages council to fill the vacancy if you so choose.
Well, I'd like to nominate Brad Walters to fill the vacancy.
You have a motion by Mr. McDuffie. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion by Mr. McDuffie, a second by Ms. Hudson. Further discussion, Council? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Always appreciative of everyone who applies, and I would encourage us to continue to stay in contact with those folks to have them apply to other other boards and commissions. That said, I've known Brad forever. Our sons are very close friends and have been since Montessori school, and Brad will be a great addition. So,
Are you a felon?
I'm not, and neither is Brad. I don't think. Or he's never told me that.
I think not yet
Yeah.
would be the.
Well, not convicted, right? That's the thing. Never convicted.
Okay, with that, we will move off agenda item number 6 and on to agenda item number 7. Discussion and possible action on installation of a valley gutter at the intersection of Bell Street and Bettis Boulevard and other water diversion structures, including a drainage memorandum from WSB. I think we were going to put this on, but I think this is actually Sarah's officially. Do you want to, or we can take it, or you can?
we have somebody here from WSG to?
I believe.
Yes, we
believe
have
do.
Selena Brandon is here, and
Yeah,
she can address questions the council has.
I think we need to discuss the study that was done, because that was the next step that we needed, our next hurdle that we needed to jump before we
Yep.
take a vote on any remedial actions to fix the problem down there, so.
Great. Good layout, and with that, I'll recognize you to recognize yourself and tell us.
I'm Selena Brandon with WSB. We submitted the report. We left it as a draft so we can still make any updates, because we're definitely cognizant that some things may be unclear, getting a little too technical sometimes. So if y'all have any comments or questions, I'd love to address them, and then we can move forward.
And I'll just point out for council too, we have provided this to all of the neighbors who had previously expressed interest in this issue, so they do also have this report, and I think it seems to have been well received in us proactively offering it to them. Just a brief recap for WSB, we did ask WSB to shoot additional survey and grades, and I think they did that. We provided them a great deal of information to begin with, but then they shot additional grades, I believe, and so I think we feel pretty confident in the data that is provided in the report. If you have any questions about it, so.
I'll just ask it because I didn't get an official answer to this earlier. In the conclusion, it talks about, just says that proposed improvements during a 2-year storm events and smaller can be contained within the right way. So does that mean smaller sounds not correct to me?
So it's a little bit of wordsmith on that one. So the intention was for smaller storms. We were trying to protect the resident. From the tables and the graphs in the back, you can see that it's contained up to the 100-year. We were just addressing it as this was the intention, it meets the intention, and a lot of it would be defined when it goes into design, but we recognize it is contained in the right of way, or in the roadway at 100-year.
Okay.
I was able to see that digging deeper, but I'd like that clearer in the conclusion for people to see.
Yeah, me too.
We
That was,
rewrote
that
it.
was, that was my biggest concern with this, because the 2-year storm is not a problem. You know, they're not having problems from a 2-year storm. They're having problems from the bigger storms. And all of the other information in here supports that it helps with the bigger storms. But when the conclusion says it works for the smaller storms, that doesn't give anybody a warm fuzzy that spending all this money is going to be helpful. And so I don't think the intention was that we are helping mitigate problems from the smaller storms. The intention was that we are mitigating issues where we have lots of water that's going into their house. So I think we need to make it really clear that this has demonstrated, the study that we've just conducted demonstrates that this fix will help with the larger storms and not cause problems to other neighbors.
Yeah,
That's what we were trying to,
and we can address that up to the 100-year. We
Yeah.
didn't design anything higher than that, so we can't, some of these large scale storms, but yes, we can make it clear.
Okay.
I think it looks great.
Good comment. With that then, okay, so just a reminder for council, the last time we took this up, we sort of, we divided this scope, if you will recall, kind of into 2 parts. This part, which we procured and have paid for or in the process of. And then the next phase is the design phase. So do you want, how do you want to proceed, council? Well, one, I think the instruction that we'll send back with you is let's beef that up and make sure that we're clear with the final and in the conclusion that we are addressing the 100-year as well. So check the box on that if you would. Past that, council, do you want us to, now that they've taken a deeper dive at it, do you want us to work with them to do the scope and look at procuring the design phase of this project? Is that I'm asking, but I'm dropping breadcrumbs as to what I think the next step would be, but yes.
I'm fine with that. The only question I have is, did Lochner already do a partial design, or have they already made progress on this?
No. Well, going back even further in the historical record, yes, but not at this level of specificity and not with this data in mind.
Okay.
So we have something that is not at the level of design that I would anticipate this design that we're contemplating now being. As you remember, we were trying to knock that out when we had crews still in town. We still had AO in town, so we did have certainly more than a back of the napkin drawing, but less than what I think we would contemplate in this full design project.
Who did the design for the valley gutter at Nixon and Hatley?
Robert.
But it was
and me. It was something like this.
Because that one's working great.
But also approved by WSB. They did have an engineer out there while we were trying to.
Come on, man! I was trying to take some credit for
Well,
Robert and I out there eyeballing.
The mayor's expertise was incredibly valuable.
Well, that's about what we had in the first plan. And
Correct.
that was also approved by the engineers. They just wouldn't
Right.
guarantee in blood with their firstborn
Right.
child that it would
Correct.
work. But I was okay with it, just for the record.
Yeah.
And we cannot expect them to guarantee,
Yeah.
because it is, act of God sort of thing. Is like based on their best engineering judgment and the design standards that they
Sure.
apply and all of that stuff. So
So
nobody
Yeah.
can expect that there will be a guarantee that there will never be a problem again if we
Yeah.
put this in. So
I will say, though, having gone through our various design processes at Nixon Pleasant, once we do get into the design phase and actually see things on paper and see drawings on paper and have an opportunity to really think through all of the different aspects, like there may well be other small tweaks and changes that we can make to really give everybody some comfort that
Right.
the design will work. The thing that's in my mind is what we ended up doing for Mike Marin in front of his driveway. I mean, that we did not start there, but that's where we ended, because as we got into it, we wanted to have belt and suspenders. We also did not have exactly what you were talking about in terms of that valley gutter up at Hatley when we first designed it. That was an addition at the very end. So I do think once we get into the design phase, we'll have an opportunity to make some small tweaks that will probably give some comfort to people if we get to that point. So
the
And they-
strategically placed boulders. in Nixon Pleasant.
another good example of strategically placed boulders at the direction of Mr. Shell. So yeah.
Worked like a champ.
Yeah.
So what do you need to proceed? Do you just
We would need a
permission?
motion to move forward with
Design.
And I think just for reference, the kind of the backup, as the mayor was saying, and for anyone following along at home, in the March 25th, 2026 special council meeting, you can see the proposal initially from WSB that had 5 tasks listed. Council approved, and WSB has completed the first 4, which was $26,000 total. Task 5 is the PS&E, which is $19,000. That gets us through basically the entire design thing, including the bidding requirements, so that we're ready to go out for a proposal for the actual construction. So once task 5 has been performed, we can actually go out to get somebody to do the construction work.
So do you
And
need,
task 5 is $19,000. That's what remains before we're ready to go out for bids for construction companies.
so do you need approval for the 19,000?
yes. I would
Yes,
say
it's
up
not a budgeted amount, so it's.
I would say up to I'd say up to 20.
did you say it's not a budgeted amount, or it is?
It's not currently in the budget. The budget can support council spending $19,000, $20,000 more dollars, but it's not already in this year's budget.
But we have the
But we have the
We have
money
the
to easily
money to
afford
do
it.
it, yes.
Okay. I move approval of proceeding with tax item number 5 on the WSB proposal.
You have a motion by Ms. Hudson. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion by Ms. Hudson, a second by Mr. Shell. Further discussion?
Do we need to add up to the 20,000 in that.
I'm fine with that, or
Okay, for a cost of up to 20,000.
For- for a cost of up to 20,000 as an amended motion is a second.
Second.
You have a second on the amended motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Thank you, council. We'll be in touch. If you would, please, in the meantime, if y'all would update that piece of the conclusion.
We'll have it before the end of the week.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Brandon.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, we will move on to agenda item number 8, discussion and possible action regarding the project scope and authorizing the mayor to prepare a bid package for the proposed off-leash area and parking lot improvements at Rolling Wood Park. Full disclosure, council, this is my agenda item. If you are not ready for it, just tell me and we'll kick it off. What I was trying to accomplish here is it seems like we're making good progress on many fronts. And I think it's probably, if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly, it's probably time to start merging these projects back into something that can be bid. I think that I have understood up to this point that it seems like it's probably going to be, at least from a bid perspective, even if we phase it in a phase 1, phase 2, it's probably going to be best to try to bid it together. So Councilman Glasheen has asked to try to always have something on this until we make some progress, and so I took that as impetus to sort of amend the standing agenda item to try to move this along and ask if in fact you want us to try to start putting together a bid package for these combined projects. And if the answer is no, we don't have to debate it. I'm just putting it on here, A, because it was a standing agenda item, and B, if you want to continue making some progress on it, it seems to me that the best next step is to try to start putting together what it is that's going to be bid.
Absolutely, and I had called Alan about a week or more ago, maybe 10 days ago, about this and asked the status of what we're doing to move the project forward, and particularly I wanted to make sure he, and I understood the scope of the work the same way, and of course it's best also that we have it here on council so we get the scope of the work outlined, but I want to see what his thinking was and how far along he was. And my understanding of the scope of the work is the parking lot reconstruction as approved by the Parks Commission and designed by Kurt, and then removal of the north parking lot with replacement of soil ultimately for sod, and then a sprinkler system for the entire park, a new sprinkler system, and also perimeter fencing consistent with the plan developed by Kurt and approved by Parks Commission. The interior fencing hasn't been resolved yet, but that's got to go through Parks Commission, and we'll get there, but it shouldn't hold up anything else. And my suggestion was that Kurt does excellent design work as a landscape architect and did a great job helping everybody get through all the iterations of the separate dog park and the parking lot design. Everybody's very happy with it. And there were some construction details that were resolved as well, such as the material being concrete and some flat curbs on perhaps with curb stops on the field side, and then probably a raised curb on the west side. And I think his plans detailed that stuff pretty well. I suggested that Rob review those plans and make sure that they are in a form that is going to be readily understood by your contractors, and that he could sort of take that around and shop it to people. And sometimes, just as a suggestion, what I've done in the past is I'll go to somebody who's a preferred contractor and say, hey, give me some feedback on this design. If there's anything you think we need to do to improve it or get better value out of it, let me know. You're going to get to see it later when it gets bid, but they at least have some give you some feedback so you get a good bid. I think on the sprinkler system, it's gonna be tricky to get a bid because it's gotta be apples to apples, and I'm not sure Rob is gonna be good at handling that, but it may be that, you know, you end up paying a contractor to design it as a design fee, and then that's included in their price maybe if they get selected to do the work. But that gives you a way to bid apples to apples when you have different contractors. It's easy to bid, you know, flat work, concrete by the square foot. That's apples to apples, but, you know, sprinkler systems are not. You could have a very elaborate one or a very cheap one. So I think that's the only feedback I would have on that, but I would love to see this keep moving forward. I'd love to be on a schedule, get a schedule from Rob, and be able to, you know, get this construction done in the fall and completed in time to lay sod in October if we can. I was suggesting also that we leave the sod outside the scope of the work because it's extremely expensive to hire people to do sod, and I'm not sure how much sod we'll need. We may be able to limit it to the 10,000 square feet at the north end of the parking lot where the parking lot's being converted to grass, because the rest of the fields, thank God, have had great rains, and with the maintenance that's been done, upgraded by the Parks Department with regular fertilizer and weed control, the grass is looking really good. And I will say that we laid about, I'm gonna guess 10,000 square feet of sod as a community about 3 years ago. And it was a whole lot of fun, and it saved us a ton of money. And everybody, I think, enjoyed going out there and doing it, and I think we could do that again. And so sod doesn't have to be in the scope of work, but everything else, I think, should be.
It's like a barn raising.
It was fun. I thought
We were 3 years younger when we did that. Just wanted to point that out.
it won't be
your-
as hot in
yeah.
October.
Your comments also reminded me of one of the most important reasons that we have this too. And it relates to the motion that you had earlier on the minutes, making some changes to your motion from last
It was,
the last meeting. And we have not forgotten that at all. But part of the difficulty in checking all of those, some of those additional boxes that Lochner had recommended, is that some of that can only be done once you have actual design drawings, right? And so
that was gonna be my question.
that is the actually a big part of, if we want to check those boxes, we've got to draw something to be able to evaluate. And so we have not forgotten that at all, but we do have to take the next step, and we have already asked Lochner to give us some language for the bid package to ensure that those sorts of analysis is possible once we get it done. So.
Well, Mr. Mayor, my question is this really a bid package, or is it a design to be used for a bid package?
It's really that. It's really similar to the conversation that we just had with WSB. It's trying to get something on paper to figure out exactly what it is that we're going to bid. So it is the design, the drawing phase. And part of that too, just like when you build a new home, you have the architect who draws the home, but then that has to get submitted to an engineer who stamps it, right? And so some of what it was related to your motion last month, it's not necessarily Lochner who is going to stamp it. Lochner is going to review this, so it'll be two engineers, not one. So we need to draw it. We need to get it to an engineer who says, yeah, this will all work, and here's how it will work, and here's what the flow is. And then it goes to Lochner to review that homework and see, and grade the paper. And so
along that line, it seems to me that I think everything that's been said tonight is great, and that's the next step. But I want to clarify, once this design and bid package is prepared, does it come back to the council before it goes out anywhere?
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
I'm happy with that.
yeah.
And are we still talking about the park, or is that the drainage?
Oh, it's all of it. We'll bring back.
Okay.
In my mind, we have to do the drawings. We have to make sure that's what everybody wants. Then we have to put the bid package, and then that goes into the bid. Here is what you're bidding, right? And we can, council will have additional input as to, and we might put the sod in as just to see what the cost is so that we know how much we're saving. If we don't, we probably, the final bid package would probably be a base bid package and then an addendum 1 and an addendum 2 and an addendum 3. You know, in my mind, you'd have a base bid package, and then your addendum 1 is probably your sprinkler system. Your addendum 2 is anything, you know, the fences that, because technically we could probably go buy the fences ourselves. So we'll probably do some addendums
Right.
within this bid package to see, you know, so it's sort of a menu of options in
And-
terms of cost.
And really, what I was really trying to say about Rob in that process is that I don't think that the design material from Kurt is in final form to go out in a bid package. It needs to be massaged.
I couldn't hear that, I'm sorry.
I was just suggesting that the design work from our landscape architect is not in the type of form that you would want to submit to contractors, and I think it needs a little work, and that Rob could be a big help with that.
Yeah.
And I will note that Nikki and I have a meeting tomorrow morning, actually, with Kurt and with Robert here to sit down, see the limitations of how far we can get with that, what other outside assistance we might need to make it bid ready so that the mayor can issue the bid.
I'll
Great.
also add, if we can have a meeting of that working group again, if we need to help dial that in between now and next council meetings, we can bring it back ready. The other question is, same thing with that meeting, is what do we need to tell, or what do we need to do to get RCDC started on their part?
They need a price, and
Is
that's
it
cost
just literally
estimate.
just
right.
the price?
Yeah, the RCDC is met, as you know. They're on board with the concept of it, but until we get more of this done, we don't know what the price
So they
would
can't
be.
start the project until there's an actual dollar amount.
Right, they need to
Right.
assign a dollar amount to
And-
it, and
and
we
Rob-
can move forward that quite quickly.
And Rob could give you a pretty darn good range after tomorrow if, you know, we want to keep moving it through RCDC.
Yeah, I mean, as one of the most, or the biggest project RCDC has at the moment, I'm sure it's going to be on every one of their agendas until we get done. They have a little project sheet, and their President Ryder is very closely tracking it, so I'm sure that it's not going to drop off their radar.
Great.
I think it would be helpful, and we talked about this briefly after the last park meeting, was that just having the list of here's the work we got, here's all the open switches, here's what's done, here's what we need to do, here's what we need for the next step. You know, Kevin said a whole lot of stuff here, which is hard to keep track of. You guys are gonna talk about that in more detail tomorrow, so.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're keeping track of it on a staff level, so we are well prepared to keep moving it forward, and we'll
Okay.
keep bringing updates to each of the 3 interested boards and commissions, including council, as we go forward.
Okay, thank you.
Step right up.
All right. Thank you very much. Steve Frank with Western Hills Softball. I'm kicking myself for having things come in the way last month that I wasn't able to attend, but the plan that was passed does not work for Western Hills Softball. So I didn't know how set of a plan it was. Basically moving that field fence 2 and 10 feet. I had told Park Commission that in March that was a no-go.
Okay.
It makes that field too small for 12U and 14U.
Okay.
So I didn't know how to come to council and work to tweak or what.
Okay.
We are
We
totally
haven't-
fine with the removable fence, and I've made that clear with working with Park Commission and Kevin and Melissa and all the people I worked with, and Alex. But just that moving fence in was gonna really hinder the older age groups there.
Okay. We haven't missed the boat. Obviously, we're still working through what we're going to do in the bid process and that sort of thing. Why don't you?
Should I go back through Park Commission
Why don't you
next
get
or
with?
work with Kevin?
Why don't you get with Kevin and Phil and
That's going to be my suggestion, is Parks Commission is the best place, because you'll get a definitive answer from them. And if it requires any other adjustments to the plan, Parks Commission will have to deal with it.
Okay.
And then it'll come back to here, and it's not gonna change anything we're doing here, because it's really just talking about the location of a removable fence, I think. So
Yeah,
I
the-
would go
the
back to
acreages
Parks.
were fine. I just know that one field, why we were moving that field in was to give that baseball field a little bit longer baseline there. But yeah, it was, March we had 3 versions I was fine with. April we had 3 versions we were fine with, and then all of a sudden E showed up in May that had the moving fence, and I missed that meeting and wasn't able to give input there, so I apologize.
No worries.
No worries,
Melissa,
yeah. There's lots of moving parts, so it's
Bottom of March,
understandable.
Melissa Morrow, who's the best person to coordinate with, is the chair of the Parks Commission, and just kind of be in touch with her. She's very responsive, as
Yeah,
you know,
no,
and is
I
very
just wanted
much.
to come here because I just found out I've had.
Yeah, I would
lots of
say
things going on
definitely
with
visit
stuff, but-
with Melissa and with Park Commission, but
Okay.
do keep Kevin and Kevin
Yes.
in the loop so that
Okay.
we're
Yeah.
all in the loop.
Yeah, copy us on stuff.
Yeah, and
Make it
hopefully
fun.
there's a way to
Work it out.
to make it all work. Yeah.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Obviously, pending that, just let me know what you want to do.
I don't think that changes anything.
Wait,
that
I
we're
don't
doing.
think it does either.
It's just talking about the location of a movable fence,
Right.
whether it's 10 feet over or
Right.
not. It shouldn't slow us down at all.
On a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we authorize you to take the further steps we've discussed today in preparing a bid package that would, for the, well, now I'm looking at this, proposed off-leash area and parking lot improvements. This is the whole project, right?
It's the whole
project-
enchilada,
The
yeah.
whole project that's under discussion, and to bring that back to council.
You have a motion by Ms. Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
You have is that a second? You have a motion by Ms. Brown, a second by Mr. Shell. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say no. Being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries. We will begin work on that. Thank you, council. With that, we'll move on to agenda item number 9, discussion of possible action on proposed ordinance amending chapter 107, section 107-3 of the Rollingwood Code of Ordinances related to playscapes and playscapes. Recognize Ms. Brown for her agenda item.
Mr. Mayor, the Park Commission has reviewed,
P&Z.
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 sorry, the Planning and Zoning Commission has made a recommendation with regard to the playhouse issue. You have the draft ordinance in your packet. The next step in this process would be to schedule a public hearing to be held for this zoning change, as it is a zoning change. And so currently, there are several other projects about this same size that are pending before planning and zoning. And so that we don't have, we can't set a date yet for that public hearing. But what I would ask is that the council approve this project for inclusion in the next public hearing that would be scheduled for zoning changes before the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay. Is that a motion?
That,
Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
No, I said that's a good one.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that is a motion? Okay.
Yes,
Would
it
you
is a
restate
motion.
your motion? Sorry.
I hope I can. That I would ask that the council approve the proposed ordinance for inclusion in the next public hearing to be held by Planning and Zoning.
Okay. You have a motion by Ms. Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion by Ms. Brown, a second by Mr. McDuffie. I have one hand raised. Does council have further discussion?
Well, my-
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, we're sending this for public input, whatever, public hearing, but not voting to approve the content of this.
Exactly.
That is
At this
correct.
point.
Yes, this is not an
We
action
won't
on.
do that till after the public
Yeah,
hearing.
this
There
is not an
and
action
here.
on the ordinance. It is,
Right.
to some extent, restarting the process that ended when this failed last time. Okay, with that, I see one hand raised online. Recognize Casey Hoffman if he would like to comment on this agenda item. Hold on one second, Casey. Having trouble hearing you. Oh, it was a mistake. No problem. We'll consider that
You
you.
can take your hand down.
Yeah, we'll consider that you waving at us as opposed to raising your hand. So, hello.
Hi, Casey.
Hey, Casey.
And for the
Thanks for
record,
being
he's
here.
waving all 5 fingers.
Okay, with that, any further discussion, council? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. There being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Thank you, council. With that, we'll move on to agenda item number, hold on one second, I need to make a note. I move to agenda item number 10, update and discussion on the proposed firm water contract with the Lower Colorado River Authority, LCRA, for the purchase of up to 499 acre feet per year of raw water. This is mine and Alan's agenda item for you as an update. It is not posted for action, and Alan is about to tell you why.
This contract has been progressing quite nicely. It's something that I, as you recall, inherited when I first got here. 15 months later, we're still working on it, but we're getting very, very close. So we managed to finalize our application for the raw water with the LCRA, and they came back with a long kind of boilerplate contract sent off to the city attorney's office, and Charlie recommended somebody who specializes in an area, Mary Adair of Branscombe Law. We retained Ms. Adair's services, and she reviewed the contract for us, came back with a large number of very insightful and very helpful comments. So initially, LCRA had wanted to receive the executed contract back by tomorrow. It's an awfully abbreviated time frame for a very complicated document with some very complicated comments back from our attorney there. And so we've reached out to LCRA for an extension. They gave us a hard deadline of the end of September. So September the 30th is the new deadline to either have a contract terms perhaps negotiated and executed, or withdraw our request from them. None of her comments seem terribly exciting. There's some that she just needs to work through. And as we work through those, if anything interesting comes up, we can come back to council. But I don't foresee there being a problem.
Yeah, our plan is to just work with our outside counsel who does specialize in water regulatory law. So we will work with her. We feel like we're, and thank you, Charlie, for getting us to capable, someone who knows what they're doing with related to water law. So we will work with her. We'll try to come to terms, and hopefully it will not be back before you, and we'll go ahead and execute on this when we feel like we have all the I's dotted and T's crossed. But we did want to give you an update and let you know what the final timeline was. But we did push it out to September. We'll try to have it executed well before then. So.
And who did you say is your water law expert?
Mary Adair.
Yeah, sorry, Mary Adair.
Is she in your firm?
No, she's not with our firm. We don't have anybody in-house that I feel comfortable with these types of agreements. So this is one of two law firms, people that I reference folks to. She's very good.
Terrell firm?
I don't actually remember what firm she's with.
The firm is Branscombe Law.
No, Branscombe Law.
No, I was asking about the Terrell firm, if you're familiar with
Oh
them.
yeah, I'm familiar with them. Yes. Yeah. Yes, I'm familiar with them. I know who they are. Good lawyers as well.
Yeah, Paul Terrell's my fraternity brother and real estate partner.
Okay. Yeah. No, he's a very good lawyer.
But that's all he does is water law.
Water law. Yeah. Okay, that's the update on agenda item number 10. We will move off agenda item number 10 with no action. Move on to agenda item number 11, update and discussion on proposed amendments regarding tree protection standards and requirements during construction activities. Recognize Ms. Brown for Mr. Brown's agenda item.
Sorry, I'm separated from my iPad this evening, and it's been a challenge. Are we on item number 14?
Item number 11, I'm sorry.
Oh, I will request this item be pulled. We're not ready to bring this to the council for any action at this point.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the punchline. Say that again. You're not ready tonight?
We're not ready. I'm asking that this item be pulled from the agenda.
Okay.
And we'll bring it back hopefully next month.
No problem. We will move on from agenda item number 11 with no action, and take that up at a later date. Moving on to agenda item number 12, discussion and possible action on development of an oak wilt prevention, mitigation, and remediation program. I will recognize Mr. Shell for his agenda item. as you'll recall, council, you did take action last month to send this to the Utility Commission. It did go there, and but I'll turn it over to Kevin for his update.
Yep. So this is pretty much the same thing I brought you last month. It did go to the Utility Commission. Thank you, Alan and Phil, for I couldn't make that meeting, but apparently it passed unanimously by that group, so appreciate that. I made a few changes in the document. I'll just call out what I did real quickly for discussion if necessary. I removed things that didn't work for us and cleaned up some of the numbers. One of the things is a way to track where the Oakwood is something Nikki and I talked about, probably will do.
You need to speak
Having
up or move
difficulty.
your,
So-
yeah.
Hello. Okay. So in the budget season, I'm going to recommend that the staff create a layer in the GIS system to track where we do oak wilt. So that'll be part of the exceptional item stuff. That's a pretty small thing. We don't have it. We're not going to put it on the website and do some of that stuff that was in the original document. I also reduced the annual property cap to a max of $5,000 because I wanted to make this accessible to more people if they needed it. Given, a reasonable dollar amount, do we come up with to fund this during the budget season? And the last major part was I want to make for the water assistance program to match the same language that's used in the utility customers appeal process summary. So that'll help give the attorneys direction on how to go do that. That's not currently in the document that's in front of you. It's just, I said it costed the city, but we came up with a more formal description for that. So if there's any discussion or questions, I'm glad to answer them. If not, I'll make a motion. Okay.
Happy to take the motion.
Move that staff work with legal counsel to draft an ordinance based on the details provided to be brought back to council for formal adoption at the next regular meeting.
You have a motion by Mr. Shell. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion by Mr. Shell, second by Ms. Brown. Further discussion? All right, and so your instruction to us, so we'll bring an ordinance back that's reflective of all of this that you've done. I would encourage you to, you mentioned the exceptional item process, so be sure and do that.
Yes, sir.
And also include in that exceptional item if we want to put some money for the actual program too.
Yes, sir.
So. Okay, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Thank you, council. Great job again, Kevin. This is a great project. Moving on to agenda item number 13, discussion and possible action regarding the adoption of regulations governing the acquisition and use of surveillance technology to ensure accountability and responsible use. I'm going to go ahead and also pull up agenda item number 14, discussion and possible action on authorizing the mayor and staff to issue a request for proposal for cameras and technology infrastructure. I pulled these both up. These are both mine and staff's agenda items. I pull these up together to say and restate for the record where my position has been on the camera issue in particular, and as this council knows full well, we have attempted to kind of go down this camera road before. It failed upon further review, and thanks to Ms. Brown's detailed review of the proposed contracts that we would have gotten into if we would have done that, realized that kind of the existing platforms that are out there for this type of camera technology to monitor our ingress and egress points from the city had multiple problems and was fraught with peril, as we sometimes say at the state capitol. And as I've also said before, I have not historically been in favor of cameras and surveillance for a number of privacy reasons, and you all have debated that issue in the past. But I'll restate where I have gotten to, and that is if cameras are undertaken with some of the safety precautions that some of our more technical techie people in the residents in the community have recommended, if we do not go on a national platform, if we take certain precautions with the data and with how the cameras are used and how the system is implemented, and most importantly, I'll restate this because this is what moved me. and most importantly, in my mind, if we can have a system that has real-time monitoring capability within our vehicles, within our cruiser vehicles, our police vehicles overnight, in the form of a tablet or some sort of installed technology within the vehicle where our officers can in real time monitor our access points into the community overnight. It is a force multiplier when we have 1 or 2 officers on duty at night. If 1 or 2 individuals in their cruisers can monitor 5 or 6 different locations at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. That is what I think makes this pill worth swallowing. And so I want to, but also combined with that, that's the key differentiator in my mind. The other is that I would not be supportive of this if you as policymakers did not simultaneously adopt an ordinance within our code to make very clear how privacy will be protected, how the system will be audited, what the system does and doesn't do, and has real protections built into it, protections that have become best practices across the nation, that have been supported by the ACLU and others in terms of privacy protection and not overstepping, government overreach in those areas. So I think that the two things have to be approached simultaneously, and in my mind, ultimately, you would adopt the ordinance before you ended up actually implementing or spending funds to put the cameras in. I think that you have to have how it's going to be executed and how it's going to be treated and how it's going to be audited, and all of those things have to be contained in some sort of best practices ordinance, and then you actually put the cameras in. And I think to do it in reverse order is not wise and is not good policy making, and will probably lead to other problems and other outcries from the community. So in my mind, that's the way to approach it. That said, and that's why I'm pulling these up together, I think that we can, while we're trying to draft an ordinance that we're comfortable with and that we think covers all the bases, there's nothing that would stop us from going ahead and moving forward with a bid, with a request for proposal, a bid package to put out into the world to see what kind of numbers we get back and how much this would cost to do. In my mind, and we'll have to see what the cost is, I think the best way to approach this would be first to fine-tune a best practices ordinance, adopt that ordinance, get it into the code, and then unless there is a huge price break from doing 7 versus doing 1, I would suggest that we start with 1, and I don't know which entrance we would do it at. My guess is we would probably, well, I won't say where we would do it, because that kind of defeats the security purpose. But I would think we would start with 1, see if we can get it installed, see if it works, see if we like it, see if we can monitor it in the patrol vehicle, and then scale up from there. Now, once we do the RFP, we may realize that's way more expensive to do it like that. It's better to just do them all. I don't know until we bid it, but that's how I would envision this rolling out. I will say the citizens who testified earlier this evening, and Casey's still online here, they sat down and had a discussion with us and with myself and Chief and Mackenzie and Alan a month or 2 ago on this topic. We actually gave them some homework to go, because there are some very IT savvy and technical people in their working group and in their citizen volunteer group. And so we actually asked them, because we had done, in fact, Mackenzie did a great deal of work on it, and we had already put together what we thought the technical specification should be for these types of cameras. We did not get a lot of commercial interest because we're so small of a city, and the project, the way we're wanting to do it and the way the technical group sort of have suggested to be able to protect the data and protect privacy and that sort of thing, it's a little bit, it is not where the, let's say it like this, it is not where the industry would like to go, which is all the more reason in my mind that that's how we should absolutely do it. So, but we did give them some homework and asked them to come back to us with a request for their recommended request for proposal. So we sort of have a working document now that they helped us put together that has a lot of technical specifications that I have no idea what they mean. But my thought would be that we continue sort of officially with the blessing of the council and trying to put that RFP together so that we can get something out to bid. Some of those individuals, I think, know people in this commercial space that they may be able to help us get some bids back. So that would be my request, is that you give us the authority to officially sort of enter into this RFP process to try to get a bid package ready, and then simultaneously we just wanted to introduce the concept. Chief and Mackenzie did a nice job putting together just some rough ideas, looking at other ordinances that exist out there, so we have some a starting point at least. That is, it's certainly not ready for action this evening, but my thought would be try to give us your thoughts on a best practice, and we would bring back next month or the month after an ordinance to that would constitute those best practices that we would try to get into the code. So, sorry, I'm done talking. Anybody have any thoughts?
How can I?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So I'd like to see some of the tech specs. How do I get a hold of that stuff?
I can't hear you, Bub.
How do I get to, I'd like to see some of the tech specs and some of this work that's been done.
Yes.
So,
And I would too.
The RFP, the
what this private group has put together, whatever you guys have
Yeah.
done, all the homework here.
Yep.
Is, I mean, part of that, like, I kind of want to see what other communities have done in this, housing their own surveillance system with this, for lack of a better word, right? So we can look at that, and obviously they've probably, I like the idea of the approach of doing the privacy policy and the usage up front, but clearly other people have probably done that too, so I'd like to look and see kind of what they've done. I don't want to cover old ground here, but one of the things I don't think was talked about before is I worry about when we're housing this, what the PR requests or potential for that kind of stuff on that type of data is going to do to our small staff.
yeah.
Like, that's going to be data that everybody out there is going to want to get a hold of that does that sort of thing. So that's
And
just
in my mind, that has to be part of the ordinance and it needs to be as tightly drafted as possible, because I share that concern. I've always shared that concern. It's been one of the reasons that I haven't really been for this. So
Well-
I'm lockstep there with you in terms of that.
and I'm not, the ordinance itself, but also just the cost to our staff
Yeah.
of having to deal with that problem.
Well, I think if it's
So-
I mean, 'cause
in my mind, if it's drafted tight enough, that we should be able to mitigate
Okay.
a great most
So
of that.
the other groups came up with, the other companies that are doing this came up with interesting workarounds to get around the state law to avoid that problem completely.
So the city's allowed to charge the cost of complying with a public information request, so it's not gonna be something that costs us a whole bunch of money. But as I can tell you, unless the deal captures a wreck, you're not gonna be getting any public information requests to see who's driving down Rollingwood Drive.
Right. Yeah.
So
And some of that,
practical matter.
and we already have some, go ahead, Chief, we already have some ability.
And I think that's where a lot of it is that we can't produce a document that, just for the public information. If we have to create it, we can't create a document that we don't already have.
So
they
if we have
request it.
recorded video, then that's not, somebody can't ask for that?
So as far as I know is that if we have not pulled it and created a document for
Okay.
that, then we don't have anything to provide. So we can't go and search.
Yeah, fair enough, we don't need to solve it now, that's a
Yeah.
concern I have with this,
Yeah,
that
it's a
we
fair
want to get
concern.
answered before I'm going
Yeah.
to get on board with it.
Well, and, Mr. Mayor, from my perspective, it's hard to say we authorize you to go get a bid when we don't know what the specs are for that bid.
Yeah,
That's
well,
where
yeah,
I-
and we're happy to share that with you. And maybe
And-
you
and,
will
uh,
understand the specifications better than I because
Well, I'm talking about the things like, I looked at what the Austin ordinance does, and I looked at the language that says in item 14 that the community input has emphasized the need for privacy protection, data ownership, complete transparency, a restriction, and a closed-loop, city-owned solution with no cloud-based storage or third-party data access. That is not in the City of Austin
right, because
ordinance.
yeah, right.
So
And that's what led
I
to
don't
their.
know whether this is in the bid, because we don't have.
It is. It is the basis of the bid.
I haven't seen
I know.
that. It's,
I know.
yeah,
I'm just, yeah, I understand, and I'm just socializing kind of
yeah.
my thought process on it, but I share all of those concerns. But yes, and that will all be in the bid package, and we have how to do that, like literally the hardware, and I need other people. I don't know anything about hardware, so like that's what the volunteer group, they actually outline what type of hardware we would need and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of moving parts to it, most of which I don't fully, from a technical standpoint, understand. But yeah.
What I would suggest, or what would give me some assurance, is to say, to ask for the council to have comment on something like this, the draft that I did, or something like that, so that we've given you our input on
Yeah.
what the components of this system should be and what protections it should have.
That'd be great.
And then ensure that that bid includes those.
Those
because
pieces of it.
It will be, you only get there through the technical limitation on how the data and the
Right.
machines operate.
Yes, that sounds great to me.
So I took a stab at it.
Excellent. Well, why don't we do this?
That was the document that was circulated
Right.
this morning.
Okay. Why don't we do this? Let's,
And this is just me. I think it's something that the council needs to discuss and
why don't we do this?
See.
Like I said, I don't need action on either of these. Why don't we move off of both of these agenda items with no action? That said, you have your, you give to Alan your, or we've already seen that, but why not, anyone who has deep thoughts on the best practices that would go into the ordinance, get those to staff so that we can compile those sort of into one master document, and then that's what we'll sort of bring back for discussion next month, and we'll just put the RFP piece on a hold. Does that make sense? Okay.
that makes sense to me.
Okay, great. Do you have more, Chief? We have one public comment from Ms. Bray.
Bray.
Sorry, I can't see you on the screen there. Elizabeth, you're recognized. Hold on one second, Elizabeth. We're having trouble with our audio. We're going to try to turn it up so we can hear you. I will tell you. Okay, try it now, Elizabeth. Sort of. Speak as loud as you can, and we'll be as quiet as we can.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear
Yeah,
that.
just 1 second. The reason is, Nikki, it's just playing on your computer.
Yeah.
So we could all huddle around your computer.
Or what if we put a microphone up to our computer?
That would work.
It doesn't.
Hold the computer up to the speaker, up to the mic.
Down there.
Yeah, this is why we need a high-tech system.
Okay, Elizabeth, we're going to Cyrano de Bergerac this thing. Why don't you speak as loudly as you can and as slowly as you can, and I'll try to interpret.
Relay.
appreciation of the thoughtful approach. She likes having an ordinance before we take action on the actual cameras. I promise you this is what she's actually saying, not just because this is my idea. All right, continue, Elizabeth. She's confused about why we're having a continued discussion about cameras. The data that was provided to Austin showed a very minimal impact. And the data that has been provided by the city of Rollingwood showed that 100% of the vehicles that were broken into or stolen were because they were unlocked and keys or keys left in.
One moment, Mr. Mayor, can
Yes.
you put the microphone on up to the?
We tried.
No,
And it's down here.
Yeah, it's underneath
It's underneath
What is underneath?
the speaker
the speaker.
that she's talking from.
We don't have the technology.
It's underneath. I'm doing the best I can.
This is just not acceptable.
Yeah, I agree. As the interpreter, I'm with you. She thinks I'm doing a great job.
Okay, go ahead.
We need that in writing.
I'm sorry, you'll have to repeat that part, Elizabeth. Oh, she suggests that we also have an exceptional item for better technology, which actually we're going to. Keep going. So she's questioning the expenditure of funds on a system that would not potentially have the desired impact. And leave the system open to a data risk. Okay? Thank you, Elizabeth, and I do apologize for having to interpret your public comments like that. A few things that I'll bring up. In large part, I had sort of moved on from this issue, and so again, I'm not necessarily pushing this. To be frank, and one of the reasons that it came back before us was because of the volunteer group of which Christopher Bray is a member of, and we actually had a number of these protective measures that we are talking about were as a result of the conversation that we had here with Mr. Bray. And so I'm super appreciative of his expertise and others who were a part of that dialogue. And actually it was at that meeting where, we sort of explored this concept of having the ordinance to be adopted first. Again, if there is no community desire for these, and there's no council desire, I'm the last one to push it. Again, the only things that make it work or worth it in my mind are the three things that I stated at the beginning, which is one, the accompanying ordinance of best practices to protect the data and have the closed loop system, a point that has always been pushed by Mr. Bray and others. The other is to have the real-time monitoring within the vehicles themselves so that we can monitor people coming in and out of the community overnight when we have fewer on-call staff. and those are really, if we can't accomplish those things, then it's really, in my mind, not worth doing. So I'm not passionate about it. I just, if the desire of council and the volunteer group, if it's the collective desire to move forward, that's how I think we need to move forward. So, but I'm not passionate about it. So if we want to drop it, we can.
Well, I'll add to the question, and I've talked to the chief about this before, and I'll say this, if we keep talking about it, I'm gonna ask you the question of, if we're gonna spend X amount of dollars on this for law enforcement, is that your number one priority to spend that money on? Or would you
Right.
rather have it for something else? You don't have to answer today, but that's what's
and-
coming.
But I will also repeat kind of what the mayor has said, is that this has been something that has been brought back to us by residents that had a desire for the cameras. And so that's why we went back down this road.
So when the Austin area had that shooting spree a month or two ago, it was my understanding that the perpetrators were caught because of cameras in Manor.
That's correct,
that
by the
right?
flock. Mhm.
So that to me is a pretty a recommendation for having something like this available. So it's not just a matter of, did somebody have their car broken into because they left it unlocked. It's that you've got people that are out there, and we're very close to MOPAC and City of Austin and everything else. So to me it doesn't seem, and we had a lockdown because of something happening in Zilker Park just a number of months ago. So there are things happening around here where it with proper precautions for data security, I can see there being some benefit to having this in place.
I'll add, first off, we don't know any of the costs. We don't know what kind of precautions technology is available at what price point or any of those things. I will say I did some research on my own. There are websites where you can see where any monitoring cameras are, and obviously looked at our area, and we're kind of a black donut hole with a lot of surveillance around us. And if I were a criminal coming somewhere from the outside, I would see, wow, there's an area that looks to be quite wealthy, that is right off MOPAC, that doesn't have any of this security stuff there. That might be a good spot. So anyway, but I think it's worth us looking into and getting a lot more information, and certainly making sure that we have all the proper precautions, and making sure that the expenditure is going to help with our enforcement rather than take funds away from our police, that type of thing, and be a force multiplier, as the mayor said, during our night patrols and that type of thing. So I think it's worth us exploring further. I don't think we have enough information right now to.
Yeah, and I would even
make
add too,
statements.
it's possible we get into this and we do get bids back and it's just prohibitively expensive. And so even if that happened, I don't think it's a bad thing for council to have adopted a best practices
Sure.
ordinance if some other future council, when we're all gone, decides to undertake this, and maybe without the same level of thought going into it. So
And as we know, oftentimes technology costs come down drastically with time.
right.
So
I think in my mind that if we could get an ordinance in place for this sort of thing, and then whether you move forward with the actual execution of the cameras, having the ordinance in place is not a bad idea. So. Strike while you're on the dais.
do you know something we don't?
I don't. I'm just saying. I don't.
I like the presumption that future councils won't be as thoughtful as
See,
we
that's
are.
where I was going. That's what he was supposed to pick up on, but
Yeah, I think-
Okay.
I think it just would be helpful, again, for this citizen group that's working on it, to give us some other examples of people who have done this, the benefit that they've seen, what law enforcement is doing with it, the use cases, right? I don't particularly want to spend a whole lot more time on this, but if that group wants to do that work for us and give us something useful and will help with that, I'm all ears.
And that was largely, honestly, they had homework, they did the homework, they brought it back, and I felt
Can you
compelled.
share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
that's-
Yeah. Yep. But before I wanted to, if there was no appetite to move forward with it, then I didn't,
Okay.
but yes, absolutely.
And, you know, from my perspective, I can see the benefit for the protection of our police officers if we can do a cost-effective, totally closed-loop system.
Right.
But when you get beyond that closed-loop system, then as we did with Flock, there's really not a way to protect the data,
Correct.
because that's not where the vendors want to go with it.
That's correct.
So that is my objective. You know, if we can get it, and we know there's cameras out there. We know you can tie cameras together. You know you can have a standalone database. It's just a matter of seeing if there's some vendor that will do that at a price we can afford and that we can actually protect the data. We've got the time and the resources and the personnel to protect it.
All right.
If that's what we're talking about, I'm okay.
And,
If
and
we're talking about something that's gonna be looped into Flock or some other
we're,
system,
yeah, we're
I'm
definitely not.
interested. Yeah,
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
The only thing we're talking about is a closed loop system.
yeah. But, you know, buildings do this.
And
Why
again,
can't- why can't-
I can,
Yeah.
yes, I have it on, I've said it before, I have it on my
Yeah,
downtown office.
but I see it more a protection for our officers and a wise use of their resources than I do that we're gonna be,
Right. Fighting crime, yeah.
yeah.
Helping the larger. Yep. Okay, with that, we will, again, council, please do get us thoughts on what you consider to be best practices. AI is very helpful in this endeavor. If anyone cares to ask Claude to help you out with that, I have. So get us those thoughts on that, and we will circulate also the RFP that was provided, or the recommended RFP that was provided to us. Okay, moving off of agenda item number 13 and 14 with no action, moving on to agenda item number 15, discussion and possible action on the request of qualifications for owners' representative services for City Hall improvements. This is my agenda item that we discussed and kind of laid out to you last month. I am very, very pleased to report to council. I think maybe you already know. So we did issue this RFP. We were in the process of the RFP at the last city council meeting. We did not know at that point, we did not know what type of response we would get to the request. I said RFP. We had a request for qualifications, let me clarify. We did not know what kind of, what type of response we would get to the request for qualifications when we put it out. Very pleased to report that we had 15 applicants submit request for proposal or request for qualification packets to us for that opening. I would like to pause for a moment and recognize our outstanding staff who dug through all of those 15 packets of proposals and scored each one of them based on the package that we submitted. As you recall, that package laid out what a scoring matrix would look like, which sounds great in the RFQ when it goes out, but then when you get 15 of them back and you realize that you're going to have to score all of them, it becomes a bit of a process. And who all helped with that process?
So I reviewed it, Nikki reviewed it, Mackenzie, and Lindsay.
So they all reviewed all 15 separately and did their own scoring without talking to one another. And then we compiled, and by I mean they compiled it into a final overview scoring matrix, which is in your packet this evening. How I am going to suggest that we move forward with this is, what I would like to do is that we will, next month, now that we have the scoring done for all of the applicants, my plan would be to invite all the top 7 of those who were scored. I would like to invite the top 7 to come to council chamber next month for our next month's meeting, and I'll give each of them 5 minutes to make a short presentation to you all. You will know which 7, it will be the top 7. And I would like all of them to come and have a brief 5-minute presentation to each of you so that you can get a feel for and ask any questions that you have related to each of their packets or each of their applications. You can have a short dialogue in that 5-minute window. We'll move through all 7 of those top applicants. I would tell you also, knowing what those 7 would be that we would invite for next month, if you all have access, I think we've told you you have access to all of these submittals. If you want to come in and take a look at those, we are happy to add an 8th or a 9th or a 10th person to come in and have that 5-minute dialogue with you. If there's someone, if any council member believes that there's maybe someone that you think should have scored higher or been in that top 7, we are happy to extend an additional invitation to that applicant within reason. I'd prefer to keep it somewhat narrowed for this next phase. We'll also offer that same opportunity to ESD 9. We're trying to keep them in the loop at every step here. So we will offer them an opportunity to take a look at all of these submittals, and if they know of someone that they think would be a good addition, we're happy to invite them also.
And who is that you were saying?
The ESD, Emergency Service Fire Department.
Oh,
Sorry.
right. Emergency Services
Yes,
District.
the fire department. So,
Thank you.
but
Translator.
but that would be my thought. Is that now that we've scored them, you know what those are, you know the top 7, we will invite those top 7 to come have a dialogue with us, with you next month. And then my thought would be at the conclusion of that meeting, would that be an executive session eligible item? Okay, well, we can have an open dialogue. We'll probably do it the way we've done. I think maybe only Sarah has been here for this type of presentation. We have done this in the past with certain vendors when we ask them to submit qualifications. We'll have them each come in individual. So we'll have them wait elsewhere, and then we'll have them come in individually, and then have them exit. So so that it is an individualized conversation with counsel from each applicant. And then at the conclusion of that, I think, and if it meets with your approval, my thought would be for us to try to go ahead and make a decision on the top 3. Like, you then give us, here are our top 3, or here, let's straw poll and decide who the top 3 or 4 are, that we can then enter into the next phase, which is negotiating a workable, affordable arrangement with them. I think doing it like that, if we bring 7 of them in for that discussion, and then council narrows it down to 3 or 4, that still keeps the market forces in play for us to try to negotiate something with the top. I'd probably ask you to rank those 1 through 4, but knowing that we would enter into discussions with all 4 of those to try to negotiate some sort of agreeable fee arrangement. Yes, sir.
So have you guys not got like the top, have you guys not got like a top 3, or have ranked the 7 that you have?
Yes, we do.
You have?
Yes, so we have, and then page 187 of the packet has our rankings. There are a few that people that are tied just by virtue of their scoring. So actually, at the moment, we have 2 people tied for 7, so it'd be 8 people who'd be invited.
And then another, I got a couple little comments. I don't know if it would be helpful, but, you know, you could, I'm sure that, you know, my commercial project manager would be glad to look at them, tell you if he knows any of them by reputation or could, you know, offer any insight, because
Yeah.
he's gonna know them. I think you've got his number, but I can give it to you if you're interested in talking to him.
I think we would. I would actually, if you wouldn't mind, you have sort of this ranking, and
Yeah.
we will invite those top 8. So if
I'll send them
you
to
know,
him
feel
and see what he's
yeah,
comments
see if
are,
he's has
if he has any.
yeah. Because
Um,
in my mind, that's the phase we're entering, which is, and that would be probably when you then rank them 1 through 4. You know, we would then at that point talk to references and that sort. So we're sort of getting to that reference point anyway.
see.
So yeah.
And I'm not, I don't want to nitpick your process, but because I appreciate you doing this and that you have a process and we'll get it done, but this is government, so we have to make things complicated. Which is like, why 7? Like if I were typically I'd ask, you know, administration to give me the 3 best, and also include in their presentation a little bit about how they would expect to be compensated, because that's going to be a big driving decision and part of the sorting process. And that way, you know, if you had top 3, they're going to talk about that. We might be able to talk to them for 10 minutes each instead of 5, and might get a lot further down the road. But
Yeah, and the
however
answer,
you wanna
the
do it.
answer to that question is it's totally arbitrary and out of my head. And the only reason I picked, I just cut the list in half.
That's fine.
So if there would have been 8, I would have said 4, and if there
Okay.
would have been 10, I would have said 5. And that was really just, myself and staff were trying to narrow the universe, but still leave ample. We're trying to make it easy, narrow the universe, make it easier on council, but still leave council with a nice, healthy pool of applicants to weigh in on.
Well, y'all have done a great job. I appreciate you doing that.
By the way, Kevin said, I spoke to Duke Garwood about this. He gave an hour of his time. He went through these, and I think at least 5 out of the top 7, he knew people, spoke highly of them.
Oh,
They're all
good.
like they're good choices. So he's another good person to get.
Yeah.
I can dial that in with him. Same question on the money. I have no idea how to think about this with the money, but I also look at this kind of an open book test.
And pause there on the compensation piece. I think that's a very reasonable. And first of all, I'm suggesting that we invite the top 7. I guess 8 technically. If that's not how council, we're totally fine with only inviting 5 back or 4 back. If we're open, we were just doing that to try to be as inclusive as possible with council. That said, whether it's 5 that we invite back or 8 or whatever the number is, I think it would be absolutely reasonable for us to at that point have at least an initial or for Alan to have at least an initial discussion with them to get a sense of what how they envision compensation happening, so that when we do enter into that next month's meeting, we have that information to you, so that you know going into the discussion.
And it may be helpful at some point to ask them to put compensation in a certain form. I know when I get compensation proposals for my projects, for project managers, it's often a monthly fee through the design phase, you know, through the architectural, and then another monthly fee through construction. And, you know, I put bonuses in for completion of certain phases because I like things to move along.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if there's but I think you're going to get a whole bunch of proposals like that, as opposed to just strictly hourly. And I think those were probably are better in the long run than just an hourly deal.
Yeah, I'll say that's what's in my mind.
Okay.
You know, pending negotiation, but
Of course.
that is how I'm thinking that we will
But
approach
if you
it.
kind of can steer them into fitting that some sort of a formula and see what the consensus is on the best formula, then you can plug in numbers and do more apples to apples comparison.
Right.
And that's also where looking through all their processes and stuff. These people do big projects. We're we're building a medium-sized house for Rollingwood,
Yeah.
effectively. So, and a lot of what we need is what a good architect and a good GC are gonna do. We're basically buying insurance. We kind of want like a Robert Dial for different steps to make sure things are being done correctly. So that's gonna be more what our needs are versus what they provide on these much bigger projects.
Yeah.
In my opinion, at least that's what I wanna hear them talk about and be priced accordingly, because I feel like it's gonna be special for us, because we just don't need a lot of duplication and effort between what our architect and GC is supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it is different. I mean, I'll tell you that I hire an architect and a GC and an owner's rep who's an architect to watch the construction and a project manager on all my projects. And I think it's very valuable. And I think, you know, on a small project like this, you might skip the owner's rep part because the project manager might be around enough if he's local to serve that function. But the project manager is going to do stuff that an owner's rep and a supervising architect won't do, and that is mostly in VE, value engineering, and in just assuring that all the pricing is reasonable, and dealing with things like your liaison to your interior designer, which will be, you make your life miserable if we're dealing with interior design with city council. And I would guarantee you, we cannot get an interior designer to come back here. After one time they show up here, they will never come back.
I did that with the law firm remodel.
Did you? Did they?
Help us on that.
You know, there's a lot of that stuff. It's just the project manager, and I hate paying them. And I'll tell you, we spend $1 million a year on project management, but it's worth every penny of it and saves us money. So I'm really glad we're doing this. It's going to be a huge benefit to this project.
I agree. I just want to make sure it's custom. I think this is good for us to do. Robert Dial was huge success with this stuff, but I just want these people when they come kind of dial in exactly how they're going to customize it for us.
Yeah.
Because I do think we owe it to the taxpayers to make sure we're getting the best deal, and we owe it. Just we've seen before when projects happen when we don't have the right oversight. We just kind of
Yep.
hope it gets done right. I don't want to do that again.
And along those lines, if council has any particular areas that you want them to focus on in their presentation, please do let Alan know. We'll add the, again, I think it's best not to get into specifics on compensation, but generalized discussion. We'll want them to discuss how they envision compensation. I think Kevin, your comments, we should let them know. We want them to talk about that they're comfortable with the size and scope and the smaller municipalities. So those are all things that we'll want them to talk about.
I was gonna say,
Yes, ma'am.
I went through all of these also,
Excellent.
at least briefly. I went through to find out where they were located. I went through all of them for that, and there's 6 of them that didn't even have local representation. And personally, that I disqualified those. I didn't even look at them further, because for something like this,
Boots on the ground.
when you have 9 other, there was 6 of them that weren't local. When you have 9 other options to pick from, it's not even necessary to look at those any further. I think that not being local outweighs anything else that they would bring to the table. And my top 5 were the same top 5 that the rest of the staff
Look
came
at
up with.
that.
So
Wow.
I don't feel a need to go through 8 or 9. That seems like a lot.
Again, that's totally fine.
Top 5 sounds good to me.
That-
Top 5?
That seems the more manageable number to me, and since there's
So
good
moved.
consensus on who the top 5 were,
Yes.
I think that's
That I am fully supportive of that.
a
Again,
more manageable number.
totally arbitrary on the 7 or 8. So if 5 sounds good to everyone, we'll invite the top 5. And then we'll still have you rank those top 5 next month, so that then when we enter negotiations, if we don't have to get to number 2, we won't get to number 2. If we can, but yes.
Are you envisioning that we'll have that, those interviews with them at a regular council meeting or a
Yes.
special?
Regular, yeah. And we'll probably put it in presentations up at the top of the agenda. So we'll probably set some when we've done this in the past, it's been many years, but when we've done this in the past, we usually shut the door and put some chairs out in the waiting area, and we'd just kind of bring them in one at a time, and then have them go back. And then they honestly will, once they do their presentation, they'll be done for the evening, so they can go, and then we can have a discussion. If they want to stay, they can come back in for the discussion, but that would be how we would do it. And if we only have 5, does maybe 10 minutes, or you want to set it at 5 and just know that we'll go the 10, or do you want me to tell them they have 10 minutes each? I mean, if we did 5 and 10 minutes each, like, we're definitely we're going to burn an hour quickly, but
It's okay, an hour's about right for that
that's
whole
fair.
process.
I kind of feel like that too. This is a pretty,
It's a big
we
deal.
need to get off to the right. Okay, so we'll tell them 10-minute presentations, top 5. We'll have them wait, bring them in individually, and they're free to go or stick around if they want.
And I too read, at least skimmed all of them and came up with the same top 7 as staff did. So, and I thought about maybe this ought to be 5 as well.
Perfect. That's great.
I'm happy with that.
All right. Well, if that works for you all, that's how we will proceed. And with that, we will move off of agenda item number 15, no action taken. Agenda item number 16, discussion and possible action on the City of Rollingwood signed ordinance regarding education enforcement and potential changes to the Code of Ordinances. This is Ms. Hudson's agenda item. Recognize Ms. Hudson.
Okay. What prompted this was actually several interactions with kids on e-bikes, e-motos, whatever they are, and continued concern about visibility and safety in the neighborhood, because it's summertime, the kids are everywhere. I had this afternoon, I was coming home on Rollingwood Drive, I stop at Edge Grove, I get to the stop sign before the kid on the e-bike gets to the stop sign on the other side of Ridgewood, and I was gonna turn left, and he didn't even stop. He just kept going right. I mean, I was getting ready to turn, and he just kept going right on through. Anyway, we just need to make real sure that we maintain our visibility on the roads throughout the neighborhood, and that means the construction fences, the signs, vegetation, all of that. We've talked about some of those other things. The sign ordinance we haven't really gone over, and there are a number. I don't know if we're trying to enforce it, or if they're just ignoring our enforcement efforts, which means that we need to be more vigorous in our enforcement. But we've got, and there's some things that we probably need to tweak because they may not be reasonable the way they are written in our code. But I think it is worthwhile for us to take a look at that and see what we need to modify and how we can better enforce that. Right now we say signs are, where was it, 3-foot personal sign. This is the allowable sign for size for a personal sign, right? 3 square feet, 2 feet by 18 inches.
Where are you in the code? If I could ask, if you have.
Is section 24, I don't remember, I didn't mark down where the personal sign
Okay.
item is. But this is the size for personal signs. So this is what's allowed for, so-and-so's going to UT or just graduated, those kind of signs, anything like this. Right. The restriction for residential real estate signs are 5 square feet. So this is 5 square feet, you add another foot here in height, and that gives you 5 square feet. There are some real estate signs in town that are 24 square feet. So 8 times this size. Not legal. And the code right now also says that those signs are supposed to be 10 feet from the right-of-way. I'm pretty sure we're not doing 10 feet from the right-of-way, because if you've got a construction fence up that is supposed to be 10 feet from the curb, and then you're saying that the signs have to be 10 feet from the right-of-way, that would be inside the construction fence, so it wouldn't even show. So that doesn't make sense. So we may need to revise to put the limit at 10 feet from the curb instead of from the right-of-way, which would make it
Oh,
more
yeah.
sense.
You taking notes on that, Nikki?
Yeah, I've got notes.
Oh, okay.
I could talk to her too, but, and the contractors is the same thing, but and this is section 24-94. These are temporary signs that are okay without approval. The contractor sign says 1 per lot, less than or equal to 5 square feet, 10 feet from the right-of-way, but it's not clear, whether that applies in residential areas or if that's just in the commercial area. So we need to clarify that the restrictions also apply in the residential area. It also says that the contractor signs are supposed to be removed immediately after improvements are completed. And we have demolition signs that have been up for months. Demolition is done, there's no construction happening, the demolition signs are still there. So there's just a lot of things, again, focusing on visibility and safety, that we just need to make sure that we have reasonable restrictions for our signs, and then we're then enforcing them. Because if we have limits in here that don't make sense and they're not even practical and you can't enforce them, then people start not complying with any part of it, because, you know, which parts do you comply with if some of them don't make any sense at all anyway? So we just either need to have rules that make sense that we enforce, or we just don't need to have the rule, right?
Fair enough. Yeah, and if you would get with Nikki, we've taken some notes on some of those. Happy to clean some of that up. Just, and I do know for a fact that we have enforced on some of probably the signs that are in your mind, and I think we actually issued a citation this week. So we are trying to enforce on some of those. But
Well,
but I agree.
The ones that I've been seeing, we've got one corner that has had sign up for months.
That's the one that.
And it keeps happening, and it's still there. So if they've got a citation, they sure haven't taken any steps to take the sign down.
Yep. They might get another citation if they don't, but yes, we are trying to enforce on it. I even saw the text string related to it. So, but no, let's do. Happy to clean some of that up if there's some of that is confusing, and there are pieces of it that I think are admittedly confusing. So if we can clean it up and make it clearer for folks, we're happy to do that.
And on that note, on a side note, agree with Councilperson Hudson about visibility and all that type of stuff. There's a situation with some corner vegetation that we've been dealing with for well over a year. They were cited, there was a jury trial, they were found guilty, and then the fines that were imposed, or the reimbursements to city staff that were imposed, were slowly peeled back by the judge in that case. I don't think that sends the right message about enforcement. I think it's frankly disrespectful to our city staff, who had to basically document all that, do all that work, as well as the jury that had to show up to then allow somebody to basically pay significantly less than what we documented was reimbursing the city. So the entire, all of us, all the taxpayers got to pay for that. So just want to go on record that when we have enforcement actions and somebody takes it all the way to court, I would like for that to be upheld at the final.
The executive branch takes note of the legislative branch's concerns, and we'll try to communicate said concerns to the judicial branch.
Was that our municipal judge, or was that an appeal?
Yes.
It was our, okay.
I think this is where you threaten them with their jobs.
That is not what the executive branch will be doing, but we will communicate through our respective law enforcement agency that's sitting to my right, so. Through the prosecutorial process.
Well, and Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if the judge does have concerns about the enforceability of any ordinance, then I would appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, that's
And our,
That's a good
and
point.
we would do the
Smart.
same thing as prosecutors. We would do the same thing.
I beg your pardon?
I'm sorry, we would do the same thing as prosecutors. If the because the prosecutor has to prosecute it, the judge doesn't. Judge just makes rulings. It's really more of our role to make sure, as a prosecutor, to make sure that if we believe an ordinance is problematic, that we bring it to your attention.
Well, yeah, and if she thinks it is, irrespective of the prosecutor. Yes.
And on that point, while we have both our city attorney and his prosecutorial wing, would you, if you would, just visit with them and see, related to this last, should we strengthen that ordinance, if you would just report back to us?
We can do that.
And as a side note too, that same property, that vegetation is once again needing to be cited, because if you don't have a lifted truck driving here today, I can tell you, I could not see far enough down Rollingwood Drive to prevent being T-boned, and I'm not the only person who has raised this concern. You know, it's a significant safety concern.
And it's
So,
on the right of way, is that correct?
It's at the corner.
So it's in
Yeah.
the right of way?
Yeah.
So-
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, we will try to do our best to get ahead of that, so we don't just
Okay.
rinse and repeat now that we've finally gotten done with it, so,
It rains, stuff
Thank you.
grows.
yeah. Okay, anything else on agenda item number 16? All right, moving off of agenda item number 16, moving on to agenda item number 17. Oh, I'm sorry, we are moving now to, we will move to executive session for agenda items 17, 18, and 19. We will go to executive session on agenda item number 17, executive session pursuant to section 551074 of the Texas Government Code for discussion of personnel matters regarding the applications for an appointment of city secretary. Agenda item number 18, executive session pursuant to Texas Local Government Code section 55.071, consultation with attorney regarding regulation of access to Almarian Way. And agenda item number 19, executive session pursuant to Texas Local Government Code section 551.071, consultation with attorney regarding Marcy versus City of Rollingwood. We will move to executive session at 9:12 p.m. City Council for the City of Rollingwood will return from executive session at 9:42 PM with no action taken in executive session. And we will now move on to the, continue with the regular agenda. Agenda item number 20, discussion and possible action on a recommendation by the mayor to employ a city secretary, that nominee being Ashley Lobb, for your consideration.
And I move that we authorize the mayor to employ Ashley Lobb for an initial term of 1 month as required by code and thereafter permanently.
You have a motion by Mr. Glasheen. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion by Mr. Glasheen, a second by Mr. McDuffie. Further discussion, council? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Thank you, council. Welcome aboard, Ashley. Look forward to having you.
It's not 1
And
o'clock.
yeah, don't get used to this. So with that, we have completed our regular agenda, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
You have a motion by Ms. Hudson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries, and you are adjourned. Thank you, council.
Thank you.